Hello everyone, it's Robin the Delta Crafter. I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you this Spellbinders Platinum 6 in the black color, which is exclusive to scrapbook.com. But I'm super excited to be sharing with you this universal platform system that now comes with the Spellbinders Platinum 6. Let's take a look at this machine. So this is the Spellbinders Platinum 6, and this is the same size Platinum 6 as their other machines, but this one happens to come in a beautiful matte black color. If you have a Spellbinders Platinum 6 machine already, again, it's the same size, has the same working mechanisms, and everything except the color is the same. This color, again, is exclusive to scrapbook.com. I think it is absolutely gorgeous and is going to make a great addition to my craft room. Then part of the reason why it's going to make a great addition to my craft room is because I have a Spellbinders Platinum. So that is the bigger machine. So I'm going to bring that in real quick. So this is the Spellbinders Platinum, and as you can see, it doesn't even currently fit into frame. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. You're going to see a little bit of my messy desk, but you get the picture. So this is their larger machine, the Platinum. The reason why I chose the Platinum over the Platinum 6 when I originally got the machine was because I wanted to be able to die cut larger dies. So like slimline dies, dies that were made for 5x7 cards, as well as embossing folders. And at the time, when I was looking at new machines, they didn't have a platform large enough or long enough in the for the Platinum 6 that that I could use those type of dies with. Or if they did, I wasn't aware. So I decided to go ahead and go with the Platinum 6. I still love this machine, but it is quite big and it's not easy for me to use when I'm making videos and to film with. So I'm still going to have this out on my desk behind me and use it, but I think this one is going to be showing up in my videos a whole lot more. So the accessories that come along with this new configuration of the Spellbinders Platinum 6 have really been something that have really intrigued me and made me really love this machine. So first of all, you get a black tool in one. So this is a tool that you can use with your die cuts, your embossing folders. And if you have any of those little pieces that hang around inside your intricate die cuts, you can use the brush end of this to kind of brush those out, as well as there's a pick end as on this tool as well. So there's an angled end, and if you push this down, push this collar down like so, you can pull that out, and then inside there's a straight tool. So you can use either one of those inside your tool-in-one. So this is a great accessory that comes along with this configuration of the Platinum 6. But the thing that I'm most excited about with this system is this universal platform. So I'm going to take the machine off camera and I'm going to kind of spread this out, and we're going to talk about what this universal platform system entails. So this is the universal system for the Spellbinders machines. And the universal term in this applies in a couple of different ways. Universal because this platform system will work with both the Platinum 6 as well as the Platinum. But also it's called universal because with the configuration, the new configuration of all the plates, it will work with dies. It will work with regular steel dies. It will work with embossing folders. It will work with 2D embossing folders, 3D embossing folders, embossing cut folders, and it will also work with steel ruled dies. So the older kind of style dies that have that cushy foam on them, this system will work with those as well. So like I mentioned, it comes with 6 different parts. So there is the platform base. So this platform base has been made a little bit thinner than the other previous platform bases that Spellbinders created. So for for display, I'm gonna bring in my old Platinum 6 platform, and you can see here that this new universal platform is a little bit thinner than the original platform, and that's on purpose. So that plate is thinner so that you can use thicker dies. You can use 3D embossing folders, all the different kinds of things that are out there on the market that you want to cut or emboss. Now, if you're using just a regular die, then you're going to want to add the B platform. So this is the platform top that makes up the little bit of difference between what the old platform, the thickness of the old platform and the new platform. One of the other things that I like about this is you have the sandwich information on both of these plates. So you're able to see what your sandwich should be depending on what you're trying to cut. So if you're just trying to use a regular die for this, there's a sandwich. Then you're trying to use an embossing cut. Here's another sandwich. Or if you're trying to use 3D embossing folders, standard embossing folders, and the list goes on and on. So these are the two that you're probably going to be using most often. Then we have our cutting plates. So you have 2 cutting plates, and these happen to come in the color pink. I think this is special for this black cutting machine. So you're going to get 2 cutting plates. Now, if you want to use a magic mat with this machine, you're going to replace one of these cutting plates, preferably your bottom cutting plate, with the magic mat. This magic mat is sold by scrapbook.com. It's one of my favorite tools for crafting. And so you would place your sandwich like so. This is the standard size. The magic mat comes in several different sizes. So if you wanted to get a longer size, you most certainly could. But the standard size will work with the cutting plates that come with the Platinum 6. So, but if you don't have a magic mat, then you would just use your 2 cutting plates. If you are wanting to cut like some embossing folders, you're going to have this adapter plate. This is plate D. And again, depending on the sandwich that you need, you're going to switch out these different plates for to make the sandwich that you need. So here it says we're going to make an embossing cut shape here. So we're going to use the platform base, the platform top. We're going to have our die and our paper. We're going to have embossing mat, which I'm going to get to next, and our adapter plate. So we wouldn't even ever use any of these cutting plates. We would be using the adapter plate. So the adapter plate is plate D. Plate E is the silicone mat that you use when you want to use, like I said, an embossing cut. Or this is also the mat that you would use if you want to use a stencil and have that stencil emboss on your paper. So instead of inking through the stencil, you can also use a stencil to emboss. So that's where this plate E, the silicone mat, would come into play. And you can see it's quite flexible and pliable. And then something new that they added for this universal system is the F plate, which is a shim. So depending on the thickness of your paper, we all know that papers come in various weights, but they also poundage weights, but they also come in various thicknesses. And sometimes when you're cutting something really, really intricate, like a butterfly die, or something, you need a little bit more pressure, or something to take up a little bit more of that space and that gap to make sure that all the fine details of your intricate die cut out smoothly, and then you don't have to do as much work when you pull the die out to get all the pieces out. So that's where this shim comes into play. I was doing some research on this universal system, and I learned that part of the reason why this system was designed and kind of born was the Spellbinders customer service team would get a lot of calls about sandwiches and which sandwich would be appropriate. And what they learned was a lot of embossing folders do not have a universal thickness. So let's take a look at a couple of embossing folders real quick. So I've got a collection of embossing folders here. And this embossing folder, let's take for instance, is considered what's a regular embossing folder. So this is a standard embossing folder. This is 2D. This is kind of what embossing folders started out as. And you can see that it's pretty thin. So this embossing folder is pretty thin. So there aren't probably many machines on the market that could not handle this embossing folder. So that's one embossing folder. And the size of this is a typical A2 embossing folder. One of the things that I learned or confirmed when I was doing my research is that when you are embossing paper, the paper doesn't have anywhere to kind of go to kind of flex. If it gets too thick or something like that. So you have to accommodate for that before you ever start to run your embossing folder through the system. So when we had the original standard A2 size embossing folders, that wasn't an issue. As we started to, well, before I go into that, then we started to see larger embossing folders come out on the market. So this is still a standard thickness embossing folder. It's still thin. However, it is larger than this typical A2 size. So then the plates or the embossing machines had to be able to make sure that they were able to run this run this embossing folder through and be able to get the results that you would want. So these two were kind of some of the original embossing folders. As we started to get into 3D embossing folders, this is where some of the differences in really started to show up. So this is a 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders. This is one of their kind of later styles. So this one is, while it is 3D, it is still thin. It's not as thin as our originals, but it is still thinner than some of the other embossing folders 3D embossing folders that are out on the market. It is also bigger. It has a bigger surface. So you can use this size embossing folder for slimline cards, for 5x7 cards, whatever the case may be. But you also have to have a machine that can handle the large size of this embossing folder in order to get the results that you're looking for. So now you're starting to see where the variations and things are really coming into play. Then we move into a couple other embossing folders. So this is a 3D embossing folder from Simon Says Stamp. And this one is pretty thick. It's thicker than the one from Spellbinders, but the size of it is still A2 size. So it's gonna, size-wise, it's gonna go through the machine fine, but it's going to need a little bit more space because of the thickness of the plastic. And then I think this might be the thickest one I have. This is a 3D embossing folder from Tim Holtz. From Sizzix, and this one is pretty dang thick. It makes a great, beautiful impression. However, this sucker is pretty thick. So what Spellbinders did is they kind of did their research, they did their homework, and they figured out a system that would allow you to work with most different sizes and thicknesses of embossing folders as well as dies, because you can use 5x7 dies and slimline dies with this universal platform system. So they figured out some great combinations of plates, also thicknesses of all the plates, to make sure that we were able to have one machine that could do everything that we needed it to do. So I am excited about this universal platform system and having this smaller die cutting machine that fits better on my desk. Again, I will still be using my Platinum 6. I'm sorry, my Platinum machine. But if I want to show some things on camera, this is the one that you'll be seeing. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. I'd love for you to join the Delta Crafter family. If you want to find me on social media, you can find me at the Delta Crafter on Facebook and Instagram, as well as by visiting my blog and website at thedeltacrafter.com. I hope you have enjoyed this video today, everyone, and until next time, enjoy!